Okay, so we're gonna do some therapy ball work today. So you want to have your 2 therapy balls in their tote. If you don't have a tote, you can always put them in a sock. And if you don't have specific therapy balls, you can grab tennis balls. And we're gonna start with these out of the tote. And we're gonna work the low back. So it's always the day that I'm wearing crazy pants that I decide to do something that needs demonstration. So if you kind of find your butt crack, right at the top of the butt crack, that's the tailbone, and then you find the top of the pelvis, and then you kind of feel out along that top of the pelvis, you'll find the edges of the sacrum. So it'll be kind of a triangle that looks like this. And then you've got all these muscles that come in called the deep six that come in onto the pelvis, onto the tailbone and sacrum. And it rotates, it moves around like this. So it's not a stationary bone, it can rotate. And when we get extra tight muscles, it will pull one side of the sacrum over. So you'll end up with a tipped sacrum, or it'll be rocked kind of this way. So it can go in all different ways. What we're going to do is find the top of the pelvis, right into the center, and then come down from there, just where you get that little beginning of the fleshy bit. And we're going to start there. And as we do this movement, it's going to slowly move out. And when it gets too far out, you'll bring it back center. So they'll naturally just move with our movement. And it's going to be, if you've done this with me before, it's like being at the wall where we do the hula, right? Where we just kind of, we're hiking one hip up towards the rib cage and then the other hip up towards the rib cage. We're going to do it on the ground in a bridge position. So when you don't have a wall, this is the other option. It also provides more sensory feedback when you do it on the floor because you've got more weight on you. So you're going to be in bridge. And you are going to lift your hips up and set the therapy balls down right in that fleshy bit. Whew. And set the hips down on top of it. And then take the feet a little bit wider than hip width and just drop the knees together for a moment, just to let your body rest into this position, rest into the therapy balls. And this can be really intense in and of itself before we even add movement to it. So if you're finding that this is pretty intense, just actively trying to soften the glutes, soften the hips, the low back, and the belly. Allowing your weight to rest down on those therapy balls. And then you're going to separate the knees, and we're just going to pull the right hip up towards the right rib cage, and then release it down and pull the left hip up towards the left rib cage. We just go back and forth, and you'll feel as you're doing this that the balls will start to move. When they feel like they're getting into a place that's no longer effective, you just go back and reset them and then keep going. Now, also, if you find an area that is real tender, you can pause there and just breathe into it. Something else to notice is if you feel like one ball continues to go kind of in one direction, so they're not going evenly outwards. So for me, the one on the left side is rolling out slowly away from the center line, and the one on the right is rolling out but down.
So I know that I've got an imbalance going on there. And what I can do is on the side that's really moving in a different direction, I can take the other side out and then start to put that ball along the edge of my sacrum. So I'm moving in the space on the side that's being weird. I'm moving from the space between the butt crack and that upper corner of the sacrum, okay? Where all of these muscles come in and attach along the edge of the sacrum. So I'm just focusing on that side and essentially working the ball from right at the edge of the sacrum, edge of the tailbone, edge of the butt crack, and moving my hips to the left because I'm working on the right, moving that ball out and back in. And I'll just do that a couple of times and then move the ball up. So again, this is the option that you're going to take if you're noticing while you're doing the hula that one of the balls has gone rogue and it is going in a very different direction. And that just means that you have an imbalance. And now I'm working out the imbalance. And this doesn't surprise me because I've been having some sciatic pain on this side and some knee issues when I'm riding my bike. So I know that something's a little bit off. So it's not unexpected that I've got a rogue ball today. You're just looking around, whether you're doing the rogue ball option or you're doing the hula, looking around for those areas that provide exceptional discomfort, and you're pausing in those areas. Ooh, thank you for suggesting this, Michelle. I did not recognize how bad my body needed this today. So you're going to take both of the therapy balls now and move them just slightly up. So right at the edge of the top of the pelvis, and right where the pelvis drops off into the musculature of the low back. So kind of hanging off the cliff of the pelvis. And set the balls right next to each other, one on either side of the spine. And then relax into that and really let the pelvis drop. So let there become an arch in the low back. The hips melt down. Breathe into your belly, into your low back. And then, so we're kind of in a cow position here. Very small cow position, but a cow position nonetheless. Now I want you to tuck your tail, rounding through the low back into more of a cat position. And then release back the other way. So just going back and forth here from a little mini cat to a little mini cow. And stay with your breath. The breath is going to be your best indicator of where you need to stop and pause for a moment, because it'll be that place where you hold the breath. You're gonna come back to find a neutral spine. Might help to put the hands on the floor here just for some extra support. You're gonna bring the right knee into your chest, and then once that knee comes into the chest, you can grab hold of it and put a little weight down towards the chest. And again, relaxing through the belly, through the low back. So our psoas muscle, which is in the front of our thigh, ends right up here where the balls are. So while everybody always thinks of the psoas as being in the front of the body, where it is part of the thigh, the front of the thigh, part of the quads. It ends, one head of it ends in the back of the pelvis on the inside. So it lines the inside of the pelvis and under our, or behind our internal organs. And the other head of it ends up in the low back, right about where these therapy balls are right now. So when you think about the power that that muscle has over the body, it can really pull your whole spine, your whole pelvis, and your legs completely out of position. You release the knee, bring the hands back down to the floor for support, bring the foot back down. And then you're going to bring the left knee up, grab hold. Take a deep breath and soften into it. And then gently bring the hands down, releasing the foot back to the floor. You're going to push into your heels, lift the hips up off the therapy balls, set the hips back down, and extend the legs for a moment and just let that low back reset. You might find that you get a little adjustment. Always nice. And then let's do a little yin pose for a moment. So you're gonna bend the knees, feet to the floor, tuck the tail. So you come into the low back on the mat, pull the knees into the chest, and then cross the right knee in front of the left. Coming into shoelace pose, and you're gonna grab the knees and pull them down towards your chest. So the main part of this pose is that the knees are stacked one on top of the other, and they're being pulled down into the chest. If you want to go deeper, those two things need to remain the same. Knees stacked on top of each other, knees down onto the chest. However, you can start to walk the hands down the legs and pull the feet away from each other while continuing to keep the knees stacked one on top of the other and pulling down into the chest. See how much you can soften through your belly? That's going to allow this to go a little bit deeper. Here to release the legs or knees, unwind, wind up the other way. Stacking one knee on top of the other and then pulling the knees down towards the chest. And again, if you want to go deeper, you walk the hands down towards the feet and start to pull the feet apart while still maintaining one knee on top of the other and the knees down into the chest. Softening through the low belly. Gently release. Grab the backs of your knees. Give yourself a rock and roll forwards and backwards. And then rock yourself all the way forwards into a forward fold. But turn your toes inwards slightly and let that internal rotation roll all the way up through the thighs as you drop your head down. So the internal rotation is going to continue to open up through the top of the pelvis and low back. Take the feet a little wider than your mat. Drop the hips down into a squat. Relaxing a little deeper into that low back. And then drop down onto the hips. Grab your sock or tote. Put them back in there. And we are going to place them right in between the shoulder blades.
right at the point of the shoulder blade. So find the bottom point. They're gonna go right there.
Lie down on them and drop your head backwards. Arms are out to the side. One variation is the arms straight out to the side. Second variation is the arms in a cactus position. Soften between the bottom ribs and your belly button. So this area can get really stagnant. We want to relax that area. Use this opportunity where we are arching through that part of the spine to really relax through the stomach, through the diaphragm. And you might notice that while there can be a lot of discomfort with the therapy balls behind the body where they're pressing, that as you're getting this space between the bottom ribs and the belly button to soften, it'll start to kind of stretch up into your sternum. So where all of the ribs connect into the breastbone, you'll start to feel some sensation there as that starts to stretch and release and soften. And you'll notice that the deeper you breathe into the therapy balls, the more sensation you're going to feel, both on the front body and then the back body. But our ribs encompass front and back body. So as you're affecting them in the back, you are most definitely going to affect them in the front. Bringing your hands behind your head, you're going to tuck your chin, look for your pelvis. And then right where the therapy balls are, as if they're like a little hinge, you're just going to move the spine right there. So we're just going to rotate right elbow towards right knee, back center, and I'm trying to move right where those therapy balls are in the spine. Left elbow towards left knee. And you might find that one side's more challenging than the other. Moving back and forth between the two. And again, when you find a nice juicy spot, you can pause there, hang out and breathe. And then lower yourself back down. Pick your hips up. You're gonna roll your butt down towards your feet so that the balls come right in the middle of the shoulder blades. So they're not at the top of the shoulder blades, they're not at the bottom, they're right in the middle there. And then drop the head back down. Again, two options, arms out or arms in cactus position. Cactus position tends to be a little more challenging, especially as we move up into this space. And if it feels like you're just hitting on the edge of the shoulder blades, bring the elbows together, squeeze your forearms together, really kind of give yourself a wiggle. So you wiggle the balls into your tissue and then slowly open back out. And then we're going to bring the arms together, cross the right and under the left, drape the hands over the side bodies. Giving ourselves a little hug, hang here for a breath or two. And then very gently rock side to side. And this is where you might get some real deep discomfort. So if you find that, pause, lean into it, breathe. Release the arms back up and swap. So left and under the right. Drape the arms over. Take a couple breaths here. And then again, rock gently side to side. Pausing center. Bring the hands behind the head again. Tuck the chin. Lift the hips up. Roll all the way right up to those top corners of the shoulder blade. Set yourself down. Take the arms overhead so that the thumbs rest down either on the mat or towards the mat. Breathe. And then you're going to bend the elbows and just drag the hands so you come into cactus position. Maybe the hands come on the floor, maybe they come up off the floor. Once you get the elbows to about shoulder height, you'll reach the arms back up. And then continuing that movement, stopping anywhere along the way where it feels like, yeah, I need to hang out here, and just breathe and try not to die. Ooh. And notice where you're holding unnecessary tension, whether you're holding the breath or you're holding your jaw your forehead, your hands. Give yourself a little hug. Maybe a rock side to side. And then swap arms. Giving yourself a hug on the other side. Maybe a little rock and roll. Release the arms. Roll over onto your side. Pressing yourself up. You're going to set those balls off to the side. We're done with those. And we're just going to have a seat on the right hip with the toes kind of tucked over to the left. You're going to grab hold of the left shin and ankle with your hands. Tuck your chin, looking for the belly button. And then feel the whole right rib cage, spine, pull over to kind of kitty corner, straight right and back. Relax that right shoulder down. Rolling up, swapping sides. So onto the left hip, toes tucked over to the right. Grabbing hold of the ankle and shin with the hands. Tucking the chin, look for the belly button, and then the left rib cage and spine, pull over to the left and back. Relax the left shoulder. Rolling up. Let's take a down dog. Let's just stretch all those things out. And take a second to move through the down dog. So it's amazing to me how different down dog feels just from working the space from the point of the bottom point of the shoulder blade to the upper point of the shoulder blade. Like it's just a whole new body. Come on down to your knees. Keep your hips on top of your knees and walk your hands forward, dropping your chest and head down. Walking the hands back. We'll take a couple rounds of cat and cow. And then come around onto your back for Shavasana. Try not to have anything under your legs or like no props for this, because once we've kind of done this work with the therapy balls, it's really nice to let the body realign in a standing like position. So let the arms drop out to the side with the palms turned up. Focus on, again, relaxing the space between the bottom rib and the belly button and the belly button and the pubic bone. And just notice if you feel any imbalance throughout the body. So when we do sensory work like therapy ball work, we're really feeling into the body. The beautiful part about Shavasana, especially flat on your back Shavasana, is that you can really feel where there's some strange tightness moving through the body. So just notice that. Something to work on if you find it. We're gonna slowly bring more movement into your body. Bending one knee and then the other, feet to the floor. Rolling over onto your side. And then pressing yourself up to seated. Relaxing the shoulders down. Again, looking for any imbalance that you feel now that you're upright and you've got the weight of gravity going on. Bring your hands to your heart. Take a moment to think of something you're grateful for today. And thank you so much for doing some ball work with me today. Hope you enjoyed it. Namaste.